I see everyone's microphone is muted, and I think you all know that if you want to speak, you can press your space bar and it will unmute your microphone so that you can talk, and we'll all talk one at a time. And this evening, as we are conducting the electronic meeting, we will have to take a roll call vote on all of the issues that the board's going to vote on and approve. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order, and I would ask if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kathy, are you with us? Can you do roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I'm here. Mrs. Vert.
Tell her to push the space button.
Yes. Here, present.
Mrs. Fastow.
Present.
Mrs. Anderson.
Present.
Ms. Miller.
Here.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee.
Present.
Mr. Castle.
Present.
We are all here.
Wonderful. Are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda?
I have no additions or deletions.
I want to let everyone know I sent them an email with the estimates for the catch basins. It's an action item. I sent that out about an hour and a half ago. We have it on the agenda, but the estimates, I misfiled them, so I just finally sent them out for you to take a look at. We can talk about that when we get there. So there's no additions or deletions to the agenda. Are there any corrections to the minutes from April 13th, 2020, our special meeting? If there are none, we're going to take a roll call vote on approving those. All those in favor of approving the, Madam Clerk, roll call vote on approving the minutes from the special meeting of April 13th, please.
Mrs. Vert.
Yes.
Mrs. Fastow.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee.
Yes.
Mr. Castle.
Yes.
Motion carried, or minutes are approved.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. If anyone wanted to address the board, now's the time. And I know that Mr. Seward had contacted me earlier, and I mentioned something in the report, and I'll address that. But go right ahead, Mr. Seward. You have 4 minutes to address the board.
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My wife and I wanted to extend our thank yous and appreciation to all of you during these difficult times. You've been doing a great job. The other thing, we have read continually on MLive, where a lot of communities around the state have been holding special meetings, and there have been a lot of complaints, and in some instances, perhaps even lawsuits, because it was not clearly communicated where the public could be available and they could participate in things like this, public comment. And as much as anything, in addition to thanking all of you at this time, we wanted to go on record to say that you're doing a great job communicating your meetings. They are available to the public. And if anyone has a complaint, at least you can say, well, we had some people that not only attended the meetings, but they did also speak. So want to again thank all of you. I want to especially acknowledge and thank our police and fire departments and our chiefs. I'm not leaving the house much, but strangely, I was out in the community and I saw 2 of our police vehicles, and they had apprehended a suspect and had him handcuffed. Anytime they have to do something like that, they are exposing themselves to additional risk. So I just want to make sure that we all are aware, and I'm sure we all are, very appreciative of all of our police, fire personnel as they continue to do the job on a daily basis to protect the citizens of this community. And with that, we're finished. Thank you.
I don't think there's anyone else who wanted to address the board. But I'm asking if there's anyone else who'd like to address the board. And I'm not seeing any. So we'll move on to staff reports. I have a short report. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. As we continue to comply with the governor's stay home, stay safe mandate, I'm wishing good health to you all and a quick recovery to this crisis. Our hearts go out to the many who have lost loved ones and those who are struggling with the COVID-19 virus. We extend our gratitude for the generosity and kindness to so many who have donated their time, talent, and resources, especially supplies and food to our first responders. For those of you who are not able to join us, our meeting online tonight, we're live streaming this meeting. You can find it on our website. Our video meeting format's a little different, so I ask you to bear with us. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, we had asked people if they wanted to speak during public comment to let us know by 5 p.m. And I just wanted to tell everyone, my husband brought it to my attention, that the governor's executive order 2020-48-1G says you're not required to register or give your name and address to participate in the meeting. So we won't be requiring that as we go forward. I also wanted to let the residents know that as of April 15th, 2020, I officially declared a state of emergency for Flint Township. The Board of Trustees will be asked to approve this resolution tonight. If there are any potential losses as a result of this crisis, Flint Township may be in a better position to recoup any losses. At our special meeting last Monday, April 13th, the Board of Trustees supported the governor's stay-at-home mandate, and our offices will be closed to the public until April 30th. As a result of this decision, we've laid off a significant number of our employees in this office, but our police and fire department continue to serve the residents of this community 24/7. If you want to contact us, you can leave a message on our phone at the number is 732-1350, and we will return your call. You can use our Dropbox to make payments or drop something off for the assessor's office, like your PRE or your transfer affidavit. And if you want to find any up-to-date information, you can visit our website at flinttownship.org. It has information about what happens if there's a water emergency after hours. You can report a pothole. Consumers Energy numbers there. Someone called today and asked about the flags in their front yard, and I found out Miss Dig's phone number is 811. If you have a question, you can call that number if you have a question for Miss Dig. If you have a question for Mterra, and I don't have the phone number here, it's on our website, you can give them a call. They're the garbage company we contract with. We're continuing to pick up garbage, recycling, and yard waste every week on Thursdays. And as I've mentioned earlier and say it again, we've suspended our landfill passes. You need a pass to go out to the landfill, which is free once a month, but until the offices open back up, we'll suspend those services. And again, if there's any information that you need, you can either give us a call at 732-1350, or you can find information up to date on our website. And that includes at the county level and at the state level and at the federal level. That's my report for this evening. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
I just have a quick update. There was a ruling today, and there's some confusion over the ruling, and it deals with filing for office. That ruling does not apply to township officials because we have the ability to pay the $100 filing fee in lieu of gathering signatures. So if anyone is interested in running for office, the deadline to file is tomorrow, Tuesday, April 21st at 4 p.m. Anyone can contact me at my phone number, 810-701-2413, and I will meet them at the office if they wish to file for township office. or I will be in the office from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and you still need to call so that I know that you're at the door and I can let you in. And I'm trying to make it as contactless as possible. I wear gloves and a mask and stand on the other side of our glass. So I still have to open the door to let people in, but I'm trying to do the best that I can. The other thing that I have is the census. One half of the United States, or one half of the households in the United States have filed with the census. And so that means there's still a lot out there. Michigan is ranked number 3 in people participating in the census. Those people have not participated in the census. I suggest that they do. It takes less than 5 minutes. And you go to 2020 census, census.gov, and you can take part in the census, which is vital to us getting federal dollars for all sorts of different things, from Head Start to meal programs for the underprivileged. So everyone needs to be counted. So they need to do that. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report this evening? Lisa, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I do have the first quarterly investment report. It's kind of, can you hear me? The first quarterly investment report. You can see there the general fund is larger than normal, but per the controller, it looks like we have issued several accounts payable checks from that have not been cashed from our final property tax payouts. So you have it before you. Everything that's marked in yellow are the changes. So if there are no questions, I would ask that this be accepted into the minutes for review by the auditors.
Thank you. Any questions for Madam Treasurer on the quarterly report? No? We'll move on to department heads. Chief Salter, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Thank you. I hope all you are staying safe and healthy. I know at the police department right now, so far, my entire staff is doing good. Knock on wood on that end of it. Since the 9th of April, your police department's responded to over 600 calls, which is an average of about 63 calls per day. And that call volume is actually down by 20%, which is good. A lot less people are calling 911. We have a lot less responding to calls for exposure. Before I end my report, I'll make sure I thank all the different businesses that donated food to the police department and some different residents. I'll name a few. I know Fauch's gave us some food. Sam's delivered some food to us. Also, one of our citizens named Ray, he donated some food to us too. So again, thank you. And we appreciate the whole board support. And I hope you all stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Salter. Chief Stadler, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, all. Activities since the beginning of the month, your fire department has responded to 37 incidents during this time. On the 8th, we responded to the 3000 block of Ridgecliff, a 4-unit apartment building fire. On that particular incident, minimal fire damage to the floor. That fire was intentionally set. In the early morning hours of the 9th, we responded back to that same address, a structure fire with heavy fire upon our arrival. We contained the fire to 2 units with extensive fire damage and smoke damage to the other 2 units. There were no injuries on this incident. This fire was intentionally set, and a suspect has been detained on this case. And I want to say thank you to the mutual aid departments that assisted us: Mount Morris Township, Flushing, Swartz Creek, and Clio Fire. I want to remind our residents that you must call in for burn permits for all open burning. Our township burning regulations are listed on the fire department website at flinttownship.org under the fire department heading. For burn permits or questions on burning regulations, please call 810-732-4413. We also want to remind our residents to continue to practice social distancing when enjoying recreational activities such as campfires. We do have one action item on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, keep together. I know this is a difficult time for you guys to be doing what you do best, but you've been doing a great job so far. We've gotten several compliments on your services, and I just wanted to say thank you for maintaining your composure and doing well under the circumstances. Thank you very much. Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report for us this evening?
So we've had a lot of things going on. Started with doing some advertising for the businesses that are still open. Then we also created a postcard for businesses that has information on it where they can get small business loans to go to our website, flinttownship.org. And there's more information on links to different funds that are available for small businesses, and also some things for our residents that may be looking for help. I also found out today, and I'll have it on the website by tomorrow, that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation has a Save Small Business Fund that they're also doing some grants through, and that's at savesmallbusiness.com. Again, like I said, I'll have that up on the website tomorrow. We also have the Open for Business a map that is online available for people to use to see what businesses are open before they get out on the road, and to make sure, or they can call ahead to the restaurants if they're getting the takeaway. So if you know of something that's open that's not on that list, please let me know so that I can add it on. And I think that's it for right now. I have several items on the agenda.
Yes, you do. Thank you for making all that information for our businesses, and any type of aid or disaster relief or any type of small business loans. That information was timely and helpful to our small businesses. So I know with those postcards going out, I don't know if you're gonna be getting more and more requests, but thank you for that work, Tracy.
So we do have extra postcards if you know somebody who didn't get one that you'd like to give them to. Karen has some at the office, so does Kathy, and I have some as well.
Alrighty, well, I skipped over the trustees, so we'll go back to the trustees if there's any of the trustees who'd like to give a report this evening. Carol? No? Tom?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
Tom Clee?
Okay, I would real quick. Just want to reiterate what Karen, what you said, and Mr. and Mrs. Seward, the same thing. It's amazing what's been going on and the struggles, and we've done it twice, tonight and a few times ago. All last week, the struggle I've been doing, and you guys don't want to join me, but it's awesome how we're all pulling together and doing what we can do. I just want to reiterate that to all of us for stepping up and doing the things that can get us all through this. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.
Frank, do you have a report for us this evening? Hey, Frank?
He's got me locked out.
I don't have a report, but I'm glad to see everybody at the meeting, and keep on coming.
Good. Barb, do you have a report for us this evening?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Thank you very much. We can hear you loud and clear. So, completed our report, and Treasurer's told us about our quarterly report. Number 12, Madam Treasurer.
Yes, you have copies of all of the bills that were in the packet. Due to our limited staff, things were done just a little differently this time. So this particular amount includes all of the taxes that we took in and paid out to the various entities. So the amount sounds high, but again, it's for the payouts that we made to the various entities from the taxes. So I'd like to request authority to pay bills which includes this global amount in the of $7,844,532.60.
Is there a second to the treasurer's motion to pay the bills in the amount of $7,844,532.60?
I support.
Was it?
It was me. It was Carol.
Thank you.
Thank
Are
you.
there any questions or discussion on the bill? Trustee Burt has one.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm gonna have to vote no on them because I haven't had a chance to review them. And I don't think it's fair that I would do that without looking at them further. Okay?
Sure. So just to reiterate, I know that the summary was sent to the trustees, but all of the invoices with the checks attached are overflowing in our packet of warrants. So it's here at the township, Barb. I don't know if you're going to have a chance to review it. It's back in accounting. Well, I think, yeah, it's back in accounting right now. So you let us know how you want to proceed, but we're going to take the vote on paying those bills in the amount of $7,844,532.60. Madam Clerk, roll call please on paying the bills.
Mrs. Staffdahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
was that a yes?
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
No.
motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 13. Are there any items, Madam Clerk, for correspondence or information?
I just have one thing. It was supposed to be the 2020 Law Day proclamation from the Genesee County Bar Association, but they had to cancel Law Day, which would have been held May 1st, 2020. I would just like to take a brief moment, if I can, to read the proclamation because it's full of interesting history and it impacts, it has a big impact on the way that our board is set up now. It deals with the 19th Amendment. So if I could just take a moment to read it real quickly, that's okay?
Sure.
Okay, so it's called Your Vote, Your Voice, Our Democracy, the 19th Amendment at 100. Whereas the United States is commemorating the centennial of the 19th Amendment, which guaranteed that the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Whereas the text that would begin the 19th Amendment in 1920 was first proposed in Congress in 1878. Whereas many states granted women the right to vote in advance of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. They included Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Washington, California, Oregon, Montana, Arizona, Kansas, Alaska, Illinois, North Dakota, Indiana, Nebraska, Michigan, Arkansas, New York, South Dakota, and Oklahoma. Whereas Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan were the first states to ratify the 19th Amendment, all on June 10, 1919, 6 days after it was approved by Congress. Tennessee was the 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment, the number then required to incorporate it into the U.S. Constitution and make it the law of the land. Whereas, although formal voting rights could no longer be denied because of race or sex after ratification of the 15th and 19th Amendments, many voters still face ballot restrictions, including registration rules, literacy tests, poll taxes, and moral and residency requirements. Whereas there were 81.3 million women registered to vote in the United States as of 2018, comprising 53% of the electorate. Whereas American women fought for and won the vote through their voice in action, the women's suffrage movement forever changed America, expanding representative democracy and inspiring other popular movements for constitutional change and reform. So I just wanted to read that because thanks to the 19th Amendment, we have a board that is composed of a majority of women. And Michigan was at the forefront of seeing that happen. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So that's informational in there. We don't need to vote on that. And I'm gonna bet that this is probably the first time, if not one of very few, that Law Day was not held because of circumstances beyond people's control. So that's very interesting. Thank you for reading that for us. We will move on to new business, and we move to the first action item on our agenda. It's the declaration of emergency, and I was going to take, because we're doing this electronically, just take a minute here to read the proclamation, the resolution, and then we'll take a vote on it. Whereas there are confirmed cases of coronavirus COVID-19, a highly contagious virus within the state of Michigan, Genesee County is ranked 4th among Michigan counties in COVID-19 impact, with over 1,000 confirmed residents with COVID-19 and over 86 reported deaths due to COVID-19. This was as of last week, and the count has gone up. Whereas the residents within the Charter Township of Flint are impacted by the virus, especially the portion of township's population most vulnerable to COVID-19, and whereas on April 15th, 2020, the supervisor of the Charter Township of Flint declared a state of emergency within the township's jurisdiction pursuant to Section 10 of Public Act 390 of 1976, activating the township's emergency operation plans and programs. And whereas the Township Board affirms the declaration and need to take active steps to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 within the Charter Township of Flint, now therefore be it resolved by the Charter Township of Flint trustees, Genesee County, Michigan, as follows. The Township Board hereby affirms a state of emergency regarding COVID-19 declared by the Township Supervisor on April 15th, 2020, pursuant to Section 10B of Public Act 390 of 1976, and allows such declaration to be extended beyond 7 days until such a time as the Township Board declares that COVID-19 pandemic no longer creates a widespread threat and occurrence of injury and loss of life to the township and its residents. The Township Board hereby grants authority to the Township Supervisor, Chief of Police Department, and Chief of Fire Department to take any and all necessary actions and to issue orders implementing such actions to properly respond to the emergency and the effects of the emergency, and for no other purposes. The Township Board hereby declares that the area involved in this emergency is all of the land and waters within the borders of the Charter Township of Flint. The Township Board ratifies the Township Supervisor's appointment of Police Chief Kevin Salter and Fire Chief Tom Stadler as the Township's emergency management coordinators. And this resolution shall take effect and be in force immediately upon its passage. So a motion would be in order to move forward, approving the declaration of emergency.
We would
I
move
move
that we accept. Whoops, sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'll second it. So you finish
All
and
right.
I'll second it.
Clee would follow Supervisor Miller's action, and I would move that we accept the declaration of the state of emergency as submitted.
Thank you.
And,
Yes.
and Mrs. Funk second.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? I wanted to recognize that our attorneys helped with their counsel in moving us forward with this. So I appreciate that. If there's no further discussion or questions, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the resolution declaring the state of emergency.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fastow, Mrs. Fastow,
She's working on it, Kathy.
okay.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Unanimously, thank you. Move on to action item B. I'm going to ask Chief Stadler to give us some information.
Yes, thank you. To continue to maintain reliable equipment and protective gear for our personnel, we are requesting the renewal of the fire safety protection equipment millage. This millage is set to expire at the end of this year. The renewal would be for a period of 5 years, beginning in 2021 and ending in 2025. Due to the increasing cost of equipment and the overall township budgetary concerns, this renewal is vital to the future of our fire department. Good equipment and protective gear help to ensure the safety of our personnel. In addition, these key elements allow us to provide the most efficient and effective service to our township. If approved by the board, this request for renewal would appear on the ballot August 4th, 2020. And below in your packet, there is the actual language that would be on the ballot.
Thank you, Chief Stadler. And the wording is identical for it to be a renewal. And if we want to move forward, a motion would be in order.
We would move
Funk
that,
move.
Clee would move that we accept Chief Statler's fire safety protection equipment renewal to be placed on the ballot in August.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Funk seconds, but I also ask that wording be added to it that gives the clerk direction to turn the language over to the county clerk's office. I was looking through some old motions today, and that's the way that it's been done in the past. So if that could be included in the motion as well, Mr. Klee.
Is that's for clarification purposes, I'm sure?
Yeah, it's just that I have to have a resolution that states that as part of the vote, that it was directed for me to turn it over to the clerk's office to appear on the ballot.
Chief Stadler, you okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Then I have no qualms with that. Thank you both.
Any discussion or questions? No. Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on renewing the fire safety protection millage for, it's a 5-year renewal, correct, Chief Stadler?
Correct, 5 years.
Alrighty.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Miller, Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Safdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. So action item C is the Pasadena Road project. And I just wanted to mention that Supervisor Larry Green of Mount Morris Township approached the Genesee County Road Commission and requested an estimate. And Pasadena between Linden and Warner is a border road that the southern portion is in the township and the northern portion is in Mount Morris Township. So the estimate that you see here in front of you is in the amount of $108,120.99. And the road commission will pay 50% of that using our allocated dollars. And Mount Morris Township will be responsible to pay $27,030.25. And Flint Township would be required to pay the same amount. That would be 25% of the total cost. We have funds available in our street millage, municipal street fund. And I would ask the board and highly recommend that we approve the estimate to repair Pasadena from Linden to Warner with a 2-inch mill and pave in the amount of $27,030.25. Does anyone want to make the motion?
There we go. Go ahead, Kathy. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'll move that we do the milling and paving of Pasadena Avenue from Warner Road to Linden Road, with the township portion being $27,030.25 with funds that are available in the municipal street fund.
Is there a second?
Anderson, support.
Are there any questions? No further discussion. Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on approving the funds to repair Pasadena Road between Linden and Warner, the amount of $27,030.25. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
What do you-
Yes, yes,
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdell,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Action item D, Mrs. Tucker.
So item D is an overview of the following 7 items. I was asked by the supervisor to look at several of these road projects and to look at how not only we could pay for them, but what the process would be to go through this. Attached, there's a list of the projects that we were looking at: Austin's Parkway, Linden Creek Parkway, Holiday Drive, Commerce and Exchange, Marketplace, Lincor, Taft, Mansour. Also, we added in a small part of Neridia at Lennon Road, which would add $152,000 to that cost there, bringing a total to $3,832,000. That cost is the cost to the township and the taxpayers who would be along those roadways. We looked at doing the special assessment district, where the township would input 25% and the remaining 75% of that would be done through special assessment district. However, Holiday Drive is in the Bristol Road CIA. The Bristol Road CIA was able to meet before all these shutdowns happened, and they did vote to pay a not to exceed amount of $188,000 on their project. Several of the other roads, all except for Linden Creek Parkway, are in the DDA, and we'll be looking to get a vote from them on the same thing, that paying the 25% instead of the overall township paying 25%. Linden Creek Parkway, however, is not in either of the authorities, so that one would be the responsibility of the township. We also have applied at the state for some dollars for Linden Creek Parkway to limit what our costing would be on that. However, when the COVID-19 crisis hit, Governor Whitmer went through and line itemed out everything that didn't have anything to do with COVID. We had $200,000 that had already been approved in the state and Senate for Linden Creek Parkway. So it's our understanding that we are still going to get that money, but when, we don't know. So we started looking at other options. Usually with something like this, we would bond. Bonding is very costly. Not only do you have your interest rates, but you have your bonding costs right at the beginning. that in this case, you'd probably be looking at least $100,000 just in the legal costs and all that with the bonding. Plus, then you would have your interest rates over the 10 or 12-year period that you're paying. So we met with the treasurer, myself, the supervisor, and the treasurer talked about looking at loan options through Chase, who we use, somewhat like we did when we did the police station. So we contacted Yvonne Carr, and who is our rep at Chase. And what it's looking like with that is that we would be able to do the bond or do the loan through them. We would write the terms. Usually how we do that is 2 payments a year, one of principal, one of interest. We usually would start that payment in May and then the interest in November. That's just because that's when our, in May, we have gotten our, I just lost the word. We've gotten our monies from the county, from the taxing, from the winter taxes, and in the fall, in May, we're done with the summer tax, and we have our administrative fees from that. So, plus that way, the authorities would have their capture dollars to pay their percentages. The cost of the interest at the time I talked to her, she thinks that the interest rates will be under 3%. At the time I talked to her, it was around 2. And I think it was even like 1.5. I'm not sure, but I didn't want to put 1.5 in there and have it be wrong. But we would able to create the payment schedule and also pick if we're doing 10 or 12 years. Let me think. Oh, also, in some of my conferences, I've found out that the EDA, which is the Economic Development Administration, which is the federal branch of basically our MEDC, they have received funds through the CARES Act, $1.5 billion. I contacted our regional director of the EDA, Lee Shirky in Chicago, spoke with him about whether or not we would qualify and what were the odds of us getting it. He has sent me all the information for it. So we're going to try for that right away as soon as I can get it written up and see if we can get any dollars through that. We may be able to get 80% of the project paid for through them, depending on where the project is at. The ones that are in the opportunity zone qualify completely. Those would usually get up to 80%. The ones that are in CBDG areas would qualify. But overall with the COVID, he made it sound as if everything's qualifying if they had shut down, if they have a high unemployment rate. So I think that all the areas we're looking at will qualify for up to 80%. So that could really take down our cost, obviously. So once we may have to come back and redo the amounts of the loan. But what you have now is worst case scenario on cost. I did not include the $200,000 in there for Linden Creek Parkway. And I did not take out the $188,000 that the Bristol Road CIA will pay. And I did not take out the dollars that DDA will pay. I wanted you to see the overall cost. And then if we end up getting the dollars through SAD, that will be 75% of that cost that will be paid. And then if we end up getting any grants, then obviously that will take off dollars as well. So the overall that you're looking at over 10 years, if you did 10 years, which you can look at later, we don't have to make the decision right now on how you're paying for this. What we're doing tonight is starting the special assessment district process. So you're basically setting up the first public hearing so that these business owners and landowners know that you're trying to fix these roads and this is how we're going about it. And they can come in and they can comment and say whether they want to do it or if they don't want to do it. And if a certain percentage comes in and says they don't want to do it, we can't do the SAD. So that would basically put that one dead in the water unless we get the grant dollars. So we're starting this process. We're looking at trying to set all the public hearings for May 4th, because we have to do 2 public hearings in this process. So all you're doing at this point is setting a public hearing and putting it out there that, hey, we want to get these roads fixed and this is the best way we can think of to go about it. But since it's a long process, even if we don't end up using the special assessment districts, if we don't start the process now, these will not get done for at least another year, year and a half. And Linden Creek Parkway, for one, it is not going to last that long. It's already, parts of it are gravel already that they have went in and poured crushed asphalt over. So yeah, it's not cool. But anyway, so that's what I have. So after the overview, you had Mike had the break. We got this from Craft Engineering, the breakdown, and then the map of the special assessment districts. And then that takes us to the, crap, what happened? I froze up there for a second, hold on. And then that takes us to the first item that's for vote, which I guess is that item E.
Item E. Alrighty, so you've given us the overview and we can vote on these by resolution for each road. And some of these SADs include more than one road. So we're on to action item E, is the resolution for road improvement special assessment district for Austin Parkway.
Yeah, so Austin Parkway is off Miller Road, just east of I-75. I'm sure most of you know where it is, or all of you know where it is. It's where Harley Davidson is. And we're looking at a road construction project there. That would be the special assessment district. We'd like to set the public hearing for our May 4th meeting. And then also approve the, authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement with the county road commission so they can start the SAD process.
So for the special assessment district for Austin Parkway, a motion is in order to move forward.
Sorry, I was struggling with unmuting. Clee would take the position to, oh shoot, sorry. I had it and I had to flip pages, I apologize.
We're looking to approve the resolution and set the public hearing for May 4th.
Yes, and I was down 4 places. I was all the way down to Holiday Drive. For Austin Parkway, I would move that we accept Tracy Tucker's submission for the resolution to pursue.
Is there a second to the motion?
Mrs. Funk, second.
And Mr. Castle, did you have a comment?
Well, I was going to second, but I was too late.
There's several more. So are there any questions for Mrs. Tucker regarding this special assessment district, the resolutions or anything like that for Austin Parkway?
Yes, I do have one. So tonight we are not voting on the township spending any dollars at this particular time. Is that correct?
It's my understanding because
That's my understanding.
until we have the public hearings and hear from those who are going to be a part of this special assessment, until we know there's not an objection to move forward, we are moving forward with the process, but we're not approving those roads to be paid for tonight. Am I correct in saying that, Tracy? We have to have their input.
Right. And I would, as I'm looking at the road commission agreement that you sent me, well, I think it's okay to approve it. I don't think I would forward it to the road commission until after the public hearing to make sure you want to do it. Because it looks to me like this is the agreement for them to move forward.
It is, and they're looking to receive those resolutions at they're looking to vote on moving forward with those, but they also know in the process of a special assessment, there will be 2 public hearings.
Okay.
And we all know that if it were done by petition, you'd look for 51% or more to approve it. But this way, it's 20% of the people who would benefit on those roads. If 20% or more disagree, we don't go forward.
Right. Well, and I notice here that no award of the contract will be made without consultation with us. So that's what I was looking for. I didn't see that caveat, but it is there. It's in number 7.
What was that, Tracy?
That it has no award of the contract will be made without consultation and approval of the township. So before it starts, they have to get your approval again. That's what I was looking for.
So we're just setting this up. We would definitely need to come back to the board for approval for any spending. Because when you talk about COVID money, I don't see COVID money covering roads. Why would they cover roads with any kind of COVID reimbursement?
It's dollars that the EDA got. The Economic Development Administration, which is the federal, basically like our MEDC, it's the federal level. They got $1.5 billion for construction projects. So this qualifies.
Infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's
in business districts.
That would be nice, Lisa, if we could participate in that, be granted some funding, but who knows about that. We're starting the SAD project and we'll still have the 2 public hearings. It's going to have to be put out for bid. There's still a long process before we sign for the loan on the dotted line.
Right. Yes, we have to have.
You mentioned the $200,000 that you said is not in this number. But if we don't, are we going to wait until we secure that before we did anything?
That was approved, and then, like Tracy said, the governor vetoed it. And then once this pandemic's over, once the crisis is over, from what I understand from Representative Cherry, they're going to be releasing those funds little by little. So we're looking at receiving those funds. Although as we sit here today in the middle of the crisis, we don't have those funds in hand. We just came short of that because it was passed by the House and the Senate, and it was up to the governor, and she vetoed it as we moved into this crisis with the stay home, stay safe mandate. So whether or not we receive those dollars, Lisa, that road is, it's a wreck. And GM requested a meeting with the township and the road commission, and Tracy and I and our engineer, Mike Pfeiffer, and the director from the road commission, their head engineer, and another engineer, all 6 of us were over there, a gentleman from MDOT and 3 men from GM, to let us know that traveling down Linden Creek Parkway is ruining their product. And they were basically asking us, when will this be fixed? Because they can no longer drive down that road. And they're the ones who reached out to, I believe, Senator Ananick to ask for some help because GM employs so many people. So that road, of all these roads, if we do any road, we need to do Linden Creek Parkway. It's been in bad shape for years, more than 5 years. And so, like I said, that one of any we need to fund. And it would be the road commission pays the 25% of engineering costs, then we would pay 25%. Then we split the cost among all those who benefit on that road. And as Tracy's already mentioned, for the road, which would be Holiday, I believe, and Marketplace, her Beecher Road CIA's already approved the funding through their budget. And Tracy has a meeting with the DDA coming up where she'll present the budget to them, and you have the funds allocated in the budget for the DDA. Is that correct, Tracy?
I think we'll be able to, yes. We won't have to do any expenditures till next year, so we should be all right. Even if we could even do the payments. She made it sound like we could go out 2 years, which that would even give us a little more leeway, but it looks like we should have the funds to do that.
Any other questions? No? All right, so we have a motion on the table for the special assessment district for Austin Parkway and the resolution. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item F is a resolution for road improvement and special assessment district for Commerce and Exchange. Need a motion, please?
I don't want to be the only one making motions tonight, folks. Sorry. But it's, we've had so many complaints and concerns from residents and companies on all of these. So I'll move to accept the resolution as presented and to allow us to move forward.
Is there a second to the motion?
Castle seconds.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the resolution for the improvement, the road improvement for the Special Assessment District for Commerce and Exchange.
Mrs. Burt,
Can you repeat that, Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Was that a
Yes. 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 Yes.
Mrs. Fafdow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
yes?
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item G is the resolution for the road improvement special assessment for Holiday Drive.
I move that we set the public hearing and give authorization to the supervisor to sign the necessary paperwork for this to move forward with the Genesee County Road Commission for Holiday Drive.
That was a good motion. And is there a second to it?
Support.
That was Carol. Any questions? Any more further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion.
Mrs. Fafdow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes, yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item H. Did you want to make another motion, Mrs. Funk? You did that very well.
Yes, I agree.
Sure. I will, I make a motion that we approve a special hearing set for May 4th for Lincoln, Taft, and TA Mansour Boulevard, and for the supervisor to sign the necessary agreement for the Genesee County Road Commission to move forward.
Is there a
Clee
second to
would,
the motion?
Clee would support, but we need to do it for Lincor, not Lincoln.
I said Lincor. Maybe
It's
it came across as Lincoln, sorry.
It sounded like Lincoln. I'm teasing. I think it said Lincoln.
Any questions on this one? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the resolution for the road improvement special assessment for Lincor, Taft, and Mansour, TA Mansour.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes,
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal, Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item I is a resolution for road improvement special assessment for Linden Creek Parkway.
These not have been grouped together.
The road commission sent over all those individual ones. We grouped together the ones that are near, and the work will be done, like the one we just passed, Taft, Lincor, and Mansour. But these probably will be or could be bid out separately. That's why they're presented this way. And maybe it's easier on the assessment roll. I don't know.
I move that we set a special public hearing for the special assessment district for Linden Creek Parkway for May 4th, 2020. And that we authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement so it can move forward with the Genesee County Road Commission.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support. Clee.
Any further discussion?
Just if I may, with Lisa, I know where, I think I know where you were going. You and I've had conversation about tying it all together as much as possible. And I see, like they've put some together and some not. And like Karen possibly said, we may, if it's bid out, we may get we may get one contractor who will take over all the projects and be able to put people at all of them at the same time. Don't know, but tying the closer ones together, the one behind Sam's is TA Mansour, Taft, Lincor, good move. It would be tough, I think, to go underneath the viaduct and work Linden Creek Parkway at the same time with the same crew there. But I agree with you what you were stating, but I'm supportive all the way.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on action item I, the resolution for road improvement for special assessment of Linden Creek Parkway.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
yes,
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal, Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
There we go.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item J, resolution for road improvement special assessment of Marketplace. Is there a motion?
Clee so moves to follow the request and the written statement for, and I'm looking for it right here. I want to be as clear as Kathy was. Whereas the township, in regards to the resolution of road improvement that we undertake for Marketplace Drive, and so give the township supervisor the authorization to follow through on all necessary documentation.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the resolution for road improvement special assessment of Marketplace.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
motion carries.
Great. Last one, action item K. A resolution for road improvement for special assessment, Neridia at Lennon.
I move that we set the public hearing for May 4th, 2020 for the special assessment district for Neridia Road at Lennon Road, and to authorize the supervisor to sign and move forward any paperwork necessary with the Genesee County Road Commission.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
That's Carol.
Yes.
Are there any questions? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the resolution for road improvement special assessment at Neridia at Lennon.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
and Mrs. Funk, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to Mrs. Tucker for pulling these all together. It was a lot of work. I know you've been in touch with the Road Commission and with Peter Goodstein in creating these resolutions. And so I want to thank you for that. I think that covers every commercial road in our township. And I see Mike Piper's on our meeting here. And Mike, thank you so much for all the work that you've done. You haven't gotten paid yet for these either. But this goes back 4 years, 2016, when we were standing out there on Taft Boulevard trying to see what needed to be done and how to get it done. So I appreciate you joining us, and I thank you for your hard work. We've got a lot more work moving forward.
Well, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I enjoy working with you guys.
Thank you.
Just one thing, Karen, to Lisa's point, with the notices, I did check with the attorney to see if we could put them all in one so that we're not paying for 8 different notices to be listed in the paper every time we do this. So he's supposed to get back with me also with whatever wording we need for an electronic meeting. So we are attempting to save dollars there.
Thank you. I think we're all set. We'll move on to action item L is the noxious weed bid approval. Uh-oh. So my computer just pooped out. You have in front of you recommendation from Stewart that 4 bids were received for noxious weed cutting and opened on March 18th. The building department is recommending Michigan DPW be awarded the contract for the noxious weed cutting since they were the lowest qualified bidder and they've performed work for the township in the past and their work is good. So I need a motion moving forward, please.
They weren't the lowest qualified bidder, were they?
So there was one who was a lower bidder, but the work that's been done in the past hasn't been quite up to standard, and so Stewart went to the next bidder.
I just wanted that clarification. You said that they were the lowest, and I want to make sure we're not.
Most qualified. So you have all those bids in front of you. A motion would be in order to move forward.
I'll make the motion to approve Michigan DPW for the noxious weed contract per the bid specifications.
Is there a second to the motion?
Funk will second.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving Michigan DPW for the contract for noxious weed cutting.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item M is the 2020 Genesee County Road Commission Dust Control Program. You have the contract before you. A motion would be in order to move forward, approve the contract.
I will move approval of contract.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call please on the agreement with the Genesee County Road Commission for the Dust Control Program for 2020.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item N is the 2020 catch basin repair estimate. And I'm not sure if all of you had the time to look at this. Let me see. We have 5 catch basins. There's 3 on Dutcher, 1 on Ridgecliff, and 1 on Thornfield. In the amount, the road commission pays for 50%. Our cost would be $17,000 out of the municipal street fund. And motion would be ordered in order to move forward.
I would move approval.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any further questions or discussion? These catch basins are damaged, and I didn't look at all of them, but when they come, the request comes from the Swartz Creek Garage foreman. Usually there's a hole in the road at this point, so it'd be good to get these 5 fixed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the 2020 catch basin repair estimates, please.
Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
motion carries.
Action item O, CenturyLink renewal. Madam Clerk.
Yes, this is a renewal of a unilateral right-of-way telecommunications permit. As I put in the memo, the permit has been in place for 1999, but the permit that was originally sought was superseded by the Metro Act. So along the way, this has been renewed either every 5 or 10 years. This was the first year that the renewal came under me as being clerk. And just to double check that everything was okay, I sent it to our cable attorney, Tim Lundgren. And it was found that we needed to update the paperwork because the state no longer even had the original permit because they have now all switched over to the Metro Act. So this is what it is. They've already paid their permit fees back in 1999. Everything's in place. He's reviewed the language. They also, their certificate of liability insurance is updated. I reviewed that. So this is to approve the extension of the unilateral right-of-way telecommunications permit for either 5 or 10 years, whichever the board desires to do.
I'd say 5 years, and they only had to pay the one time in 99, and they haven't paid for permit since.
No, because that all of their stuff was late. If you look at their exhibits, all that work was done back then, and their cabling and everything is still in place. It was just the paperwork that was not in place. So I'll move that we approve the extension of the unilateral right-of-way telecommunications permit for CenturyLink for a period of 5 years expiring in 2025.
Support.
Is there any questions or further discussion on this? No. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the renewal of the CenturyLink right-of-way permit. Yeah, that's it, the right-of-way permit.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Come on. Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdell,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item P, Madam Clerk.
Yes, I've received a letter from William Strong, who is the sole surviving heir of, I believe, Randy Strong. Yes, Randy Strong, who died in September 2019. Randy died without, with Mr. William Strong as being his sole surviving heir. And it was found after his burial, which he was interred in a niche in Fenton, that he owns a burial lot in Bristol Cemetery. It is, let's see, get it written down. It is lot 31A space 1. And our ordinance reads that if the township may, but need not repurchase any cemetery lots or burial space from the owner for the original price paid to the township upon written request of said owner or his legal heirs or representatives. So Mr. Strong submitted a letter, and my motion would be to repurchase the cemetery lot for which the original burial rights were purchased by Mr. Randy Strong, who died in September 2019, as requested by Mr. Strong's sole heir, William Strong, his father, for the original price of $500.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Are there any questions for Clerk Funk?
Yes, I have a couple questions. One, has this request ever been made before?
Not since I've been clerk, so I can only speak back to when I've been clerk. But if we don't do it, then the lot is going to sit there for 40 years from the time of purchase. And then at that time, then whoever is part of the township would have to try to hunt down any legal heirs of Mr. Strong to see if they give up the rights to the burial rights for this lot.
Okay. from my understanding, and this has just been in the past 2 years or whatever, that if that happens, it's a responsibility of the owner to sell those. That the cemeteries do not reimburse those plots that have been purchased, that it's up to the owners to sell them to somebody else or whatever.
Well, our ordinance speaks to us being able to purchase it back from his heir. And
Right.
that was the way that it was written. Mr. Strong is elderly, and I think he's in his 90s. And for him to be able to do this, he would have to go and petition probate court and open it up to probate. I've spoken with the funeral home and double checked everything. Mr. Strong is the only heir, and it was actually his initial desire was to donate it to someone who was indigent, but in order for him to do that, or to a veteran, but in order for him to do that, he would have to go to probate court also. So I spoke with Peter, and Peter stated that since our ordinance speaks to it, if he would just write a letter, then I could bring it before the board.
Okay.
Otherwise, the lot's going to sit there for 40 years, and then at that point we can try to claim it back.
So what do we do if we have others that come to the board asking for the same courtesy?
Well, it would be on a case-by-case basis, but this one I think is a little unique in that he.
I mean, I understand. I heard the story. I was just curious.
I think it would be on a case-by-case basis.
Hmm.
And to be honest, there really aren't that many plots left in Bristol Cemetery. And this is only one lot that he bought the rights to. So I'm hoping that perhaps someone in a family that's surrounding this lot or something that would purchase it. So, you know, I think that
Go ahead.
We don't know what was your question going
How many,
on?
you don't know how many are left?
No, there's not very many left. What is left is that space that basically runs along the fence that not shared, but it runs along next to the gas station there.
Right.
So, usually we don't sell that many plots, but when we do, it's usually to a family member, and that there's like 1 or 2 spaces left in plot.
Kathy, you mentioned that he would have to go to probate court to do anything with it, to give it away, to sell it. So if we give him the money for it, we can't do anything with it, it sounds like.
No, we can, because he just signs the rights over to us, because as our ordinance is written, it's upon written request of that owner or his legal heirs, he's the legal heir.
Why does he have to go to probate court to give it to an indigent person or something?
Because then it would have to be transferred from his son's name. The burial rights would have to be transferred from the son's name into his name, and then go to whoever it would be donated to. This way, he's the legal heir. And we're able to sign it over to him that way.
Is that all the questions? Is there any further discussion?
I just want to say one more thing. You would think that even the veterans would be assisting him in this if this was one of his wishes also, that he could do that, that they would take care of that for him. The services are available. I just wanted to,
Well, yeah, I don't want to get into all the, the personal details of it. I'm not quite sure how good his health is and things from speaking to him on the phone. So
we have a motion and a second to buy back the lot. Was it 138B for 5?
it is lot 31, A space 1.
Oh, I got that one wrong, didn't I? Lot 31A, space 1. So
Yeah.
if there's no further discussion, has everybody asked their questions? Madam Clerk, roll call please on the township repurchasing or buying back the Bristol Cemetery Lot 31A-1 in the amount of $500 from Mr. Strong.
Mrs. Miller. Ms.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee.
Yes.
Mr. Castle.
Yes.
Mrs. Vert.
no,
Mrs. Fafdow.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
No.
So no.
Yes, no.
Motion carries.
All righty. Do we have any announcements, Madam Clerk?
Nope. Our next board meeting will be Monday, May 4th. And I don't know if it'll be telephonic or electronic or in person.
All righty. And if there's no,
one more thing. Can I ask that the board be updated as to how the layoffs went for the employees, who's working and who's not?
right now,
No, just whenever.
I can do it right now if you want me to.
I'd like it in writing if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. That'd be much better.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah,
I
for everybody.
was
Sure.
going to ask the same question. If you could email that to us, that'd be awesome.
right.
You'll-
I don't think that we can disclose it publicly. I don't think we can disclose the names publicly. So
By
Right.
email.
we could do it among the board, but not here in this forum.
Correct.
I'll send the updated email tomorrow by 5 p.m.
Thank you.
All righty. And if there's no objection and without any further business, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.